What if the slurring, stumbling Fox News firebrand, Pete Hegseth, that whiskey-whipped weekend warrior whose primetime preening once peddled woke weakness, while his weekend wilding went viral, suddenly found his Pentagon perch plummeting into a pit of prosecutable perversion, with a cadre of courtroom colossi from the ex-JAG juggernaut unanimously ukasing his kill everybody command as a war crimes cocktail of murder and Geneva grave breaches that could chain him to The Hague's hottest seat. What if Donald J. Trump, that 79-year-old carnival con artist whose very large brain now belches bad ideas like a busted slot machine in a bankrupt bazaar, handed the world's mightiest war machine to this hog-feeding hallucinator, whose 2024 book blueprint for barbarism included ripping rivals' arms off and tossing them to swine, only to watch it backfire into a bloody boomerang of boat blasts that blast the U.S. into infamy? And what if this high-seas heresy, where two Trinidad survivors shredded to chum by a second hellfire hail, wasn't a rogue ripple, but the rotten ripple effect of a regime that raised the military's moral moorings, firing JAG chiefs like faulty fuses and forging a fascist forge where lethal kinetic lingo licenses lynching, proving Trump's America First is fascist shorthand for atrocities foremost? Envision the grotesque glee of it all. Trump, the draft-dodging dandy whose bone spurs were the only spurs he ever sported, now spurs his sidekick to savage the seas, turning the U.S. Navy into a narco-naval execution squad that executes the exhausted and executes the ethos of engagement, all while the JAG ghosts gasp at the gall of a strongman whose strength is as synthetic as his spray tan. Folks, this isn't valor. It's villainy, a Sunday slaughter where the tough on terror tyrant's tantrums torch his throne, leaving a party in paranoid pieces and a nation navigating the nightmare of nukes in noodle arms. Time to eviscerate the emperor whose elastic empire of excuses stretches from fake news, flack, to felonious firestorms, dragging us all into the deep end of his dementia-drenched depravity. The Trinidad tempest that thrashed the turquoise on September 2nd, 2025, wasn't some nautical nuisance. It was a nautical Nuremberg, a high-seas heresy where the U.S. military's mighty machinery morphed into a merciless meat cleaver under the manic ministrations of Pete Hegseth, that Fox News frat boy fiasco whose primetime preening masked a penchant for pint-sized patriotism laced with pint-sized pores of prejudice. The Washington Post's whistleblower windfall on November 29th, sourced from 6 shell-shocked sentinels still shaking from the spectacle, sketched a scene straight from a sadist storyboard. A Reaper drone's remorseless retina roams the rumpled rollers off Trinidad's treacherous tip, zeroing in on a Dominican flag drifter laden with the lowlife lucre of Colombia's Clan del Golfo, a cartel cockroach convoy crawling with cocaine contraband bound for Baltimore's back alleys. Hegseth's hallowed, lethal kinetic, that Fox-forged flourish for fuck him up in 5 syllables, escalates to executive extermination as the Spec Ops spymaster snaps the signal. No quarter, every survivor. The first fusillade? A hellfire holocaust that hurls the hull to Hades. 11 aboard atomized in an instant of infernal incandescence. The wreckage a wretched raft of ribs and ropes bobbing like a bad buoy in bloody brine. But 2 tenacious tars, tenaciously tenured by tenacity, tenaciously tangle with the tide, survivors, surrendered by circumstance, their mission marooned in the merciless main, or to combat by Hague's hallowed handbook. Hegseth's hiss from the earring? Kill everybody. The second salvo, a savage sequel of shrapnel showers that shreds the stragglers, souls sundered in swells, their screams swallowed by the sea's silent scorn, a spectacle so sordid it scorches the scrolls of Geneva's grim gospel and the UCMJ's unyielding umbrage. Hegseth's heritage? A hangover of hubris, the primetime poser whose Pentagon perches on a pedestal of propaganda. Fox's weekend warrior who warbled about woke weakness while whiskey-wild videos went viral. His 2015 St. Patrick's Day slosh fest with 2 blondes, a blonde bombshell that blonde blinded his blonde ambition until blonde ambition blonde blinded the blonde Senate. 50-50 with Vance's tiebreaker, a triumph of tolerance for tippling that tipped the scales toward tragedy. Confirmed May 2025 amid murmurs of mental problems and know something wrong with him that echoed like a diagnosis in denial. Hegseth's lethal lexicon. Coined in Caribbean capers, killing 83 in 2 months. War crimes per brass who bolted like Holy's hasty hiatus. Hides a hollow heroism. The Bonespur braggart's boy wonder whose fight, because we love what's behind us, rings ridiculous when behind us means boat bombings without body cams or bountiful bodies bobbing in the bay like buoys of barbarism. His 2024 book? A Barbaric Blueprint. What if we treated the enemy the way they treated us? Rip your arms off and feed them to hogs. Hogs. Hegseth's hogwash, a frat boy fantasy, now federal felony. The no-quarter nightmare in Nuremberg gnawed in reverse, where the tribunal's ghosts gasp at the gall, the Hague's hallowed halls humming with his hypocrisy, the Jags Jeremiah on November 29th, a jihad of jurisprudence that jettisons his jingoism into the junkyard of jurisprudence. The former Jags fatwa? A fusillade from the front lines of law, a unanimous ukase from the working group of ex-Jag juggernauts. Stephen Lepper, Air Force Deputy Jag, a legal lion who leashed the Luftwaffe's legacy. Patrick Milan, Marine Judge, federal firebrand whose courtroom claws carve careers. Rob Bracknell, Marine maven, whose manual for martial matters mentored majors. Todd Huntley, Navy captain. Georgetown guardian whose gavel guided generations. Formed in February's fury after Hegseth's hatchet hacked the Army and Air Force JAG chiefs like cordwood for a campfire of cruelty. Their November 29th manifesto? A masterstroke of moral might. The giving and execution of these orders, if true, constitute war crimes, murder, or both. Had guardrails been in place, these crimes would have been prevented. Non-international armed conflict? Common Article 3's clarion call cascades. Persons taking no active part in hostilities shall be treated humanely. Violence to life, murder, cruel treatment, outrages upon personal dignity, executions without judgment prohibited. The second strike, a savage sequel to the first. Survivors rendered or to combat, rendered roadkill by rogue rockets that roar rebellion against the rulebook. Law Enforcement Op. 18 U.S.C. Section 2441's War Crimes Wickets all. Grave breaches of CAA 3, a prosecutable plague. From Hegseth's helm to the Hellfire's hammer. Nuremberg's superior orders no defense, a specter stalking the seals who saluted savagery. RCM 916, D. The rope that ropes the rope-a-dope. Superior orders no defense to patently illegal acts. The kill survivors, a kindergarten-level crime screaming stop in scarlet letters. AP2's Article 4. Wounded and shipwrecked, respected and protected. The U.S. signatory since 77 but Senate stalled. Reagan's 87 nudge now a nudge to nadir. Hegseth's hogs a hogwash homage to Hague horrors that horrify the hallowed. UCMJ Article 118. Unlawful killing with malice. Murders mallet-mashing military malfeasance. The manuals mandate a manifesto for mutiny against the maniac. The Jags Jihad. A call to Congress for commissions, to citizens for courage. Oppose intentional targeting. Military duty, disobey patently illegal orders. Emotional eruption. Not legalese, laceration. Veterans vilified for valor. Families felled fascist feints. Slotkin's shattered sanctuary, sobering soundtrack systemic sadism. Beckham's bloody bookmark bungled borders. Caribbean chum bucket cruelty. Survivors shred of humanity, shredded shrapnel shadow. Jags Jeremiah, a Jeremiah for justice in jeopardy. Vivid vignette. Trinidad's turquoise turned tomb. Drones cold eye capturing carnage. First blast splintering speedboat. Survivors scrambling ants log. Hegseth's kill everybody killer command crackling comms. Second strike shredding souls swells. Final gasps gasp Geneva's ghost. Seals scarred sadism stain. Wreckage whispering war crimes wail. The rot radiates from Richmond's revenge route. Halligan's hasty hire EDVA enforcer. Virginia vassal vaulted vendetta vanguard. Enemies Comey. Canned Russia rummage. James, indicting issue. Prosecutorial pins pulled procedural perversions profane fifth. Fitzpatrick's 11 Infernos. Lone FBI lead marinating attorney-client marinade. Halligan's hallucinogenic homilies burden fifth. Miranda Mirage Maga Mist. Procession procedural profanities profane Potemkin. 12th Pestilence. Thou shalt summon indictments secretarial scissors. Thunders Thor's hammer. Frontier fiat flaring. Uncharted territory. Indictment signed never presented. Territory no court mapped. Negligence. Nihilism. Constitutional cut-rate cataclysm People's Palisade potentates prosecutors Plato. Halligan hatchet happy hack tit-for-tat theater. Comey's November 22nd motion maroon monstrosity. FRCP 12. B. 5th Grand Jury Grail. Rules 6 Veiled Vault. Requiem Retribution. Razor raises ruse radix. Grand Jury never approved operative. 12 jurors not concur. Government's attempt prosecute without valid indictment violates 5th. Dismissal prejudice. Decree stacking straightest statutory slaughter. 4th fouls filching files. Privilege punctures poisoning pool. Halligan's serious misstatements law. Gaslighting gallery guilt's grip. Grave doubt, determination dodged misconduct's miasma. Gospel. Standalone sacking sins. Sunday. Government's correction codex. Couplet casuistry culpiting foreperson. Lay lamb laws lion. Felony flimflam. Exacerbates execration. Sly sophistry swearing. Sworn testimony establishes grand jury voted 2 count. Transcript trumpets tabula rasa. No session. Summons. Sacred 12. Nachmanoff won't nibble. Fitzpatrick's frontier flare-up flays flamethrower. Judge Leone Brinkema's disqualification dockets. Halligan's interim illegitimacy, Senate sidestepping swindle. Loom Lady Justice's ledger Lancet's lip.